Wukong coming through. Of course, there's still a lot of other junglers you could pick. Like we still have Sejuani's being played, Poppy, obviously the end-all be-all of our last few series. So many things on the board, and despite 3 jungle bans, with Milio let through, it's what Weibo are going to opt into.
Not super surprising to see the Milio. However, we saw that Blitzcrank ban last time around. Do FPX willingly go for that Blitzcrank? I mean, Cassante is open too. Annie, Ari, all of the priority mid lane is open. Even the Wukong as well. I don't know. We'll see where we're going to go with this one. Kind of surprised to see so many jungle bans, but not a Wukong ban.
I mean, Wukong has definitely been falling out of favor recently, especially with something like, you know, again, like the Poppy left open. Maybe that could be where you look. I'm just surprised at the lack of presence of it so far. I like the Cassante first pick coming through. I think with the amount of jungle bans, it kind of would make a bit of sense to just opt into one here. If they go for this, it sets up for potentially another melee mid laner coming out again for Care. You were kind of going off like on the number of melee mids that he feels comfortable playing towards the tail end of
blocking in. Could even be a Gnar game, honestly, for him. We've seen him happily pick up Gnar in many a situation. Even when it's not meta, he's still more than happy to go for that pick. But over to the side of FPX here, what carry do they want to go with? Plenty of AD carries still available to them, and it will be that Kai'Sa for LWX.
There we go. And once again, it kind of enables them to have more AP than they might otherwise would if they do opt into like an AD soul laner in mid. You even like mentioned things like the Yone is something that Care has not only played historically, but also played this split already. Now, to where for Weibo, you're going to want to round out. I feel like we're going to need to see some frontline options coming on through to make sure Tristana and LeBlanc can do what they do best. This does set up for the full-on 1-3-1 with Jax, LeBlanc, and Tristana. They can put a lot of pressure on turrets in all 3 lanes. And now Wukong being left open and really being, I'd say, the most consistent frontline jungle left through with the fact that Vi's taken off the board, Sejuani's picked by the other team. It would make a lot of sense here.
I feel like we've kind of just gone back to exactly what you were saying in the first game about Weibo's style. All about the side lanes, all about 1-3-1. Like, we've pretty much just drafted a full-on 1-3-1 composition for Weibo. They're like, okay, we tried to play normal League of Legends. No longer going back to what's worked for them in the past. For FPX, though, melee mid laner is going to be the key alongside that Sejuani. Really Akali for the time being for Care.
would put a lot of threat on Light, if any, you know, if they can pull Weibo into a fight, right? Throw it on the Shroud, and Light's gonna feel so much pressure in terms of walking forward and being able to skirt around a lot of the burst from the side of Weibo. But yeah, Weibo gonna go back to trying to play side lanes. They don't necessarily want to look for fights unless they're able to start building up a pretty sizable gold lead early on. FPX, they are going to the patented full send composition. I love the full send. Everyone just goes in, you try and find your target, you assassinate them, you have a ton of assassins, Chocho on the Blitzcrank, and a lot going to be decided by, honestly, Hacker and Chocho. Hacker being able to pair it well with Care in terms of that mid 2v2, and then Chocho connecting those hooks onto the Melio, setting behind the bot lane, and getting LWX ahead on a champion that he's known for, right? Like, you think back to those heydays of FPX, and Kaisa wasn't one of LWX's best champions.
Certainly was. I think a lot of people kind of expected LWX to go for a Kaisa skin back when they won the World Championship. Went with Vayne in the end, which, I don't know. I think that surprised everyone.
Yeah, when I think of LWX, I think of, like, Lucian and Kaisa. Definitely, Yeah. It's weird.
I don't know. It is a weird one. I think maybe just, like, try to one-up Uzi. I don't know. Maybe he wants to be the AD carry that's known for Vayne.
I know a lot of players go into it. I know a lot of players go into it with the mindset of, like, what is going to sell the most, and how do I get maximum benefit?
Well, doing B with the Mal fight. I'm not sure if that's really paid off for him. As FPX, world champions from 2019. Just ignore the small print there. 1-0 up in this series over Weibo. And you can hear the fans are out in force today. That is for sure. As TheShy, he's been spotted. Hacker's moving over. Can they get the stun down? They're not going to commit.
I like the attempt, though. Like, having so much CC at this point. Oh, wait. Does Chocho get this here? Oh, already having to blow flash level 1. That is going to hurt, especially when you're going up against a Cassante with those knockbacks, as well as the Sejuani to so easily punish TheShy.
Yeah, that is brutal. The fact that TheShy then goes for the recall, like, really well orchestrated from FPX, right? The initial play, then they back away. TheShy, why would you not feel safe? Why would you not feel like the play is over there? And then the Blitzcrank sneaks on in. So really nice bit of play coming out from them. Xiaohu with Hail of Blades on the LeBlanc here to punish Care in the early laning phase.
You're obviously feeling very confident in the matchup to go for this. A lot of times we've been seeing the fleet footwork come through, and a lot of times you have the demolish kind of secondary in the resolve tree to just maximize the potential to go for that split push. But looks like Xiaohu this time around realizing he wants to find dominance in the laning phase. He wants to be able to set up for him to have more of an impact early on than he was able to in game number 1.
So far, so good for him. We'll keep an eye on that mid lane because, like you say, game number 1, not the greatest for him. And I'm also going to be keeping my eyes on Light, right? The Tristana picked up in this draft as a denial from Care, as a denial of the counter pick for this LeBlanc. But how proficient Light is, how practiced he is on Tristana right now, that's a different question, you know? This could be a draft designed as denial as opposed to designed for setting Light up.
Right, and I mean, the fact that they first banned it on blue side in game number 1 definitely, I think, can hint towards things like that being true. At least maybe it not being fully comfortable in both positions it can be flexed to, so could even be more of a tell on Xiaohu right now than it is on Light. And 4 versus 0. You know, I actually don't know. Wait, I do know. Only we get this graphic, so I don't know why I'm mentioning it much. But yeah, Cassante, 4 versus 0 versus Jax. Really cool.
I didn't realize no one at home gets that graphic.
When I saw the Chinese letters, I'm like, wait a second, is Chocho Flash?
Crisp gonna be knocked up here, but just kind of wanders away. Chocho, can he find the hook? Yes, he can. It's onto Crisp, but the flash comes out, keeps him alive. LWX the target all of a sudden. His light has gone way too deep for that one, and that's first blood taken by Chocho. Weiwei's on the scene, but just doesn't have any damage.
Like, what a timeline. FPX coming in so strong. Burn flash topside. Burn double summoner. Xiaohu finds the solo kill. Huge coming down from Xiaohu.
He had flash.
You know what? At the end of the day, he had the mojo. He pushed in the wave. He went for the play. He's now living in Care's head. And that's what matters.
He certainly is. However, he also gave 300 gold to Care, so the Kiriche shard will be finished off. Let's take another look at this, because it felt like Weibo had got away with it. As you see Light flash, which means Crisp gets hooked instead. And then Light just charged forward to try and get onto LWBG, but he kind of just forgot that Hacker was there. I don't know.
Yeah, not respecting. I mean, having his jungle behind him, right? So they wanted to force and thought that they can win out. As we see here, connects the chain, waiting for some more cooldowns to be able to come up before he follows through with the trade. And now Care having to play so safely under his turret. Xiaohu knows no jungle is going to get involved since both did show down in the bot side. Should have full combo up now. Finds the chain, goes back. And you're right. Honestly, probably, not even probably, could have managed to get away from this one without going down. But at least keeps the summoner for if Weibo want to play more heavily around this mid lane, and will have more offensive options to try and make another kill happen.
Yeah. we'll have to keep our eyes on that flash from Xiaohu, because I feel like it needs to be a high value flash at this point for it to be worth not having flashed in that situation. Good deep ward comes out from Crisp. Very aggressive across the map here from, well, both sides, honestly. As Chocho managed to get that first blood, a killer piece in the mid lane. I feel like we need to take a look at the map overall, talk about the early game a little bit, because it's been action from the word go so far as Care bullied away again. Like, Weibo, we talked about the potential 1-3-1, but that's later on in the game. How do they play out before that point?
I think for Weibo, it's going to be a lot about enabling Xiaohu, especially off the pressure he's been able to find, and then covering for your bot lane. When I look at FPX, it actually is a little bit more interesting, because right when you see Sejuani with the double melee soul lanes, you usually would think it's more about playing towards topside, but Blitzcrank is also a champion that somewhat warps the game around wanting to play around him as well. So anywhere Hacker shows, it could leave a bit of an opening for weiwei to take advantage of elsewhere, because now we can see Hacker wanting to once again put a lot of prio down towards mid and bot. Didn't even care about TheShy's lack of flash in the first few minutes of the game.
No, certainly didn't. Playing towards that bottom side. Hacker now going for some invades as well. There's weiwei on the top side of the map right now. No camps available for either side, but wants to make a gank happen in the mid lane. Like, Hacker knows what's going on though. Xiaohu goes in onto Care, gets the root. It's just going to be a bit of damage though. Both junglers showing and both sides back away.
Now weiwei trying to make sure he has tabs on what FPX are looking to do. No camp's going to be taken away, but ooh, I was going to say I've been confident to just start up Dragon right off the bat with knowing that weiwei's so close by. Even looking at the lane situations, it's like Light and Chris look like they're in a neutral wave state, if not pushing in now. You know, of course, the other Tristana, so they should. And the wave should bounce back in mid for Xiaohu too, so smart choice by Hacker to back off.
Oh, I like that from Light. I like the positioning from Light in general as well there. Like, happily stepping forwards towards Chocho. Basically saying, like, look, you can hook me if you want. I have my W. I can just buffer it. And so Chocho doesn't have the opportunity. So long as Crisp stays behind Light, they can buffer the hook, and there's no way for Chocho to start the fight.
Yeah, doing a great job making sure that nothing's able to come through. I love that FPX are also prodding towards the Dragon once again with the fact that Weibo's bot lane backed off to see if they could do it. But with the fact that Light and Chris have stayed, it seems like they're finally realizing, hey, we can't go for this one. So for FPX, they're making it very clear. Kind of play around their Blitzcrank, see if they can find picks around this. For Weibo, I really want to see weiwei once again kind of try and find that avenue into mid. The thing that sucks is despite the fact that Care has no flash, he is on an Akali. So he has more than enough like mobility tools to be able to dodge out on any ganks. And that's true for like a lot of, you know, both of FPX's soul lanes.
Yeah, true. It's going to be difficult for them. But one thing I will say is if FPX can't go for the early Drakes, it pretty much means we won't have early Drakes, doesn't it? We talked about it in the first one. Weibo, they typically really don't care about those Drakes. They don't usually care that much about the first Heralds either. As FPX now starting to play towards that. Herald has just spawned onto the map. You can see LWX starting to move on over. Whether he goes down to that bottom lane or goes to the Herald probably will depend what he sees. TheShy has to flash away and the whole gang is here. Good little dodge onto the ultimate. But, I mean, what can you do in a 1v4? Taken down by Hacker in the end, overextending, and that should open Herald.
It's going to open Herald. It's going to open push on top side. And look at the minimap. Right now, Weibo are not in a position to where they can, like, look to cross map or get deep vision in bot side, enable the Tristana to push as freely as she wants. I want to see if Xiaohu and Chris move down there now or no. They're actually going to posture up towards this side. And I'm actually a bit surprised that FPX aren't more confident in this fight. I guess it's with the fact that a lot of ultis are down, that they think even at a numbers advantage, that they won't be able to take it.
Oh, Light wants the all-in. LWX not going to fall for it, though. Stays back for the time being. And Cole almost finished off by Light here as well. Remember, Tristana, well, I feel like the identity of Tristana has changed over the years. A lot of people kind of see this champion almost as an assassin and as a lane bully these days because of the amount of mid Tristana. Like, historically, it was like a crit 80 carry. You need a couple of items before you're really, really firing. And you can see close to finishing that first item for Light. It's certainly a big spike for them. I think very likely to spike quite well alongside the LeBlanc as well, right? You can jump very aggressively in. I feel like we've got dive on both sides. The good buffer, though, coming out from Light.
Yeah, great buffering coming through. I also want to point out, you're talking about first item. Static Shift finished off for Xiaohu much earlier, which now will guarantee them some consistent prio in mid. They used the Jack switch in topside to pick up Herald, while we see FPX were taking this dragon.
So, Herald taken, immediately slammed down. Xiaohu didn't get the gold for it last time, and might not get a gold for it again, but well, no, again, not quite close enough there. Taka takes a little bit of a hit. At least Xiaohu gets some damage down, but it's not really enough. Shuriken goes wide from Care, so no threat onto the mid laner of Weibo, but he could just keep brutalizing now. Look at the CS lead that Xiaohu has built up for himself in that mid lane. It is similar up on the top side for Xiaoalaohu as well. So both Tigers, in fact, doing very well on the CS numbers so far. But Xiaohu should be able to finish off a third play as well. So even though Weiwei getting all of that gold once again, Xiaohu's still going to have an advantage of his own.
Oh, that was incredibly close coming out. And I want to point out, right, it should get a little bit better once Care finishes off his static shift for himself too. Be able to at least try and neutralize and nullify some of these waves. I was going to say maybe Chocho goes for a play on mid, but with the fact that you have Flash, you would assume Xiao, should have W up, and then having the Mimic there as well, it's going to be really hard to take down.
It'll be okay for now. He's going to face check into Hacker. No, he's not. Goes in onto Care instead. And Hacker, bit of a whiff on that one, trying to pretend to be a clone, but just gets bodied. I guess it doesn't matter if you hit your ultimate, so long as you're hitting those auto attacks. And now, down to the bottom side, Light goes for the all-in onto LWX, but he doesn't quite have the damage. One more auto, jumps forward for it, jumps back out of tower range. Light absolutely smurfing on LWX, but Chocho hunting, hook available, W on cooldown for Light, but he still has his flash here. Could flash for an execute at this point, but no, it's Chocho to flash on him.
Oh, I love how Chocho's face doesn't even really change. Doesn't smile, grin, laugh, nothing. Just a flash ulti, another day in the office. Still, Light going to be able to find the kill over his opposing kind of role in LWX, getting those summoners burnt. Light will still have his flash up for any plays that come through. And we're going to see it here. Hacker, I guess, expecting him to immediately go back to that position. Doesn't. But still, with the fact that you were able to get that passive stacked up so quickly, and the W was used earlier on, yeah, you're easily able to take that one down. And Light here, this one looked close. I was actually sweating a little bit for Light, but once the heal comes through, we can see he has the damage. And oh, that was so close, right? If Turchop follows, just end up being a 1-for-1 in the same direction, but manages to also pull out a flash from Chocho at the same time, who has Hex Flash, so not the end of the world for a Blitzcrank, but still the small wins.
Yeah, definitely not going to be the end of the world for him, but like you say, advantages are advantages. 2 static shifts, though, finished off on the side of FPX, so Xiaohu, he's been outdone, hasn't he? Like, he thought he was all cool with his static shift, but anything you can do, FPX can do better. We saw that in game number 1. And now with static shifts, I'm trying to tie this in as like a cohesive story. It's really not, but
it's not at all.
Hey, look, 700 gold lead for FPX, so that makes it now cohesive. Maybe.
Yeah. Who knows? Maybe Hacker buys a static.
He just cleared the way with 2 autos, man. That's
it's insane.
He's like, I get I get people's complaints with like Static Shiv in terms of the AP scaling and Night Harvester interaction and stuff like that. I feel like that's like kind of jank, but just the fact that the base item can clear a wave in 2 autos, that's just dumb.
Yeah, it really is. And I mean, for the side of FPX, I feel like now this could be something that really enables them to start finding avenues to constantly have prio and try and get on these objectives. They want to try and force like a soul point. The Light!
Oh, they're going for LWX in trouble, but he's pulled back in. Light, just invincible though. They don't have the damage to take him down. It looks for Jojo next, and one more auto gets the reset, but here comes Care. Hacker alongside him, but they're just going to commit onto Hacker here as Care now tries to get onto the backside, but Light just dashes away, and Xiaohu is here to turn this play around, looking for Care himself. But they'll back away, very happy with that one.
Finally getting some nice kills for themselves. Still down in kills, but now at least having some slight gold in their advantage. Light, so confident jumping into that one. We do have Dragon coming up in 20 seconds, so we're going to see if the replay timing is awkward with what I would assume is FPX hoping to be able to pick this one up and really get that scaling online and trying to dissuade Weibo from being able to play out like side lanes with the Jax and LeBlanc. We're going to see immediately how it happens. Light starts it off, but quick trigger pull coming out from weiwei as well to get those instant knockups. Chris with the campfires, with the heals coming through, allows Light to really feel no damage. Exhaust to set things up going on to LWX2.
Just feels like LWX didn't even get to participate in the fight. You know, instant Cyclone, instant exhaust, like you say. Just no chance of counterplay as Xiaohu continues to just wail on these towers. Care doing his best to clear waves. I will say, Static Shiv coming into the game has really helped Akali out in terms of being able to clear waves under tower. Was always one of the things Akali struggled with. No longer is Light just gonna flash forwards LWX and annihilates him.
This guy is an absolute madman. He came out of nowhere with that play.
You know, remember earlier, just that champ select, I was like, but has Light practiced Tristana? Yeah, no, he's good. He's fine on the Tristana. TheShy getting dived up in the top side here, low on HP, but gets a heal in the last second. Counter-Strike comes on in, Care's under the tower. TheShy flashes away, and Care just about gets out of range.
I cannot believe he was almost able to survive that. But still, Weibo going to try and trade in the mid lane. Hell, even in bot, like, this is reminiscent to when Weibo picked up this composition before, right? Not caring about that topside drift turret. They're like, you maybe get one turret off of that, getting 2 turrets off their push here, and really starting to make a dent in the gold difference.
I mean, when you think about it in the context of most teams use Baron to break tier 2s. Like, they've just taken 2 tier 2s off of map play. Like, that's the way that Weibo like to approach the game, and honestly, I feel like more teams are going to start to look towards this style as well when it comes to high-level playoff series, when it comes to international play, because Weibo have shown that it can be really effective even against the best.
That distance he covered out of nowhere. I don't know how LWX can even expect this one to come through. Flash rocket jump. LWX instantly gets popped. And this reminds me of yesterday with the OMG series, that whichever team, OMG LGD, whichever team got the Tristana was just so dominant in what she was able to bring in terms of, again, that assassination potentially hurting on earlier in terms of like laning phase. We've seen so many solo kills come out from AD carries in like 2 days of this patch. Then you turn into a team fight monster. Then you're able to just take these turrets down. It has been so fun to see Tristana back only in this few days of play.
Man, I will say, oh, hang on. I'm going to hold that thought as Care's in trouble. Oh, Care's not in trouble. Care doesn't exist anymore. Xiaohu just rinses him as Light arrives and probably kills the tower just with the cannon there. Look at this 4-man stack on the top side as Herald comes down to answer from FPX in the bottom side of the map.
They will. I was going to say they're going to bring Xiaohu down here to help cover this Herald, but Xiaohu actually immediately TPs towards mid because that's where LWX and Chocho were stationed, but now we'll have to move down because TheShy might end up getting dove again.
It might. The Herald does get its charge. Here comes Xiaohu and Crisp, though. The team is with him. Not sure this is a fight that they can commit to at this point. But tier 2 taken in the bottom side. At least they get that objective for themselves. Herald will be finished off. The wave will be cleared. What can Weibo get on the top side? I don't think they'll finish a tower here.
Don't you love out of like, you have a Jax, you have a, kind of new meta static Shiv LeBlanc, and the Tristana is the one you leave side laning and like pushing advantages forward. What a weird world.
It really, I mean, it's a weird team, isn't it? Weibo, always hilarious to watch, always an absolute riot. And I have to say as well, like, you give me Jinx Aphelios meta, like, versus Tristana Kai'Sa meta, man, I'm so happy that things are changing here in the LPL. Now, granted, it's off of a lot of AD carry bans, ultimately, like,
yeah,
and a lot of shenanigans going on in the drafts to get to this point, but I really hope this is the way that patches go. I really hope this is the way that the meta goes, and we do have more exciting champions like this. This is a draft that everyone wants to watch, you know?
Oh, I agree. And again, getting to see even just different styles go up against each other, right? Weibo being able to play that, like, demolition kind of rotator on the map, bring down turrets, and where FPX needing to look for these hard engages. And that's always been the fun thing of not just having two comps that have similar identities. You have to look at, like, the niche differences, or like which AD carry plays a team fight better, and you need to see which team can actually execute, understand their win conditions, which for FPX, we've highlighted a lot, would have loved to hinge around stacking those early Drakes. They weren't able to get the second one. Next one does come up in about 50 seconds. But it might actually be more about the Baron now, with the fact that we are so far behind in terms of, like, the Drake stacking game, and that it is Chemtech.
I just realized my mic was muted.
I was like, did we lose
did reply
Munch?
to you.
Is it time for the lyric solo fiesta?
No, I was here the whole time. I was chatting away to you, just no one could hear me.
Was it a good chat?
I was going to say, wow, it was great. You know, me, myself, and I all just having a great time together. I was going to say they've got 40 seconds to do the Baron before Drake comes up as a joke, but, you know, in hindsight, it wasn't even funny the first time. Drake, though, looks like he'll be Weibo's here.
It's actually better after the context of how it was done. So kudos to you as Weibo actually being the one to want to start off a fight themselves.
Oh, they're just going to kill Hacker, aren't they? The Kraken Slayers do so much work as LWX trying to survive, but the exhaust comes in once again. Chocho next target. No. Light has no time for Chocho. It's AD carry on AD carry here. Weibo kind of low on HP. Is Keck jumps onto the backside here. Wants to find Light. Xiaolahu pulls him in. The knockbacks, and there we go. Perfect execution, but taken down. And that's just two of the players. There's still the rest of the team from Weibo. Xiaolahu, the next target, as the counter-strike comes on in, and Xiaohu here to finish the job. TheShy with the kill, and Weibo look indomitable in this fight.
And I'm so surprised just seeing the opportunity, realizing they have numbers advantage in enough burst to hopefully turn the fight in their favor before FPX can really come online. I do believe we kind of saw the flavors of how FPX can win in 5v5s. Like, if that was an actual 5v5, hell, the fact that Cream was able to get so much done, if LWX, you know, would have actually been able to participate and not have to worry about a Tristana solo killing him, it could have been a different story. So I don't think we're going to be able to see Weibo be that overzealous in terms of starting off fights consistently, but they have now just pushed their gold lead, I guess, a little bit further. I think we were sitting around like 2,000 before, now making it up to like the 3,000 mark.
Let's take another look at how it all started. I just love how aggressive Weibo are being with this composition. Yeah. The second they see people, like, they see enemies, they go in.
It was, they saw Karen top, he was being zoned out by TheShy. They saw Xiaolahu and bot, so they know they had numbers advantage. They have enough burst to just take some out, as we see from the Kai'Sa and the Blitzcrank. But here, I mean, Akali can just buy so much time in fights. Care does have a significant amount of damage, skirt around, and really punish the multiple, like, squishy backline targets that Weibo has. Again, had that been like an actual 5v5, who knows how close that could have been. Weibo, though, doing a great job of seeing a moment where they had numbers advantage and taking advantage of the fact that they are at a pretty strong power spike.
They certainly are. When you look at Xiaohu's inventory as well, my lord. He's got 6 stacks of the Dark Seal. He's finished his Night Harvester and a Lich Bane. He's got 3 items in 23 minutes with a stacking Dark Seal. The man is an absolute monster right now. And whoever, I mean, it's not even whoever's the target. One auto will hit everyone with the Night Harvesters. Jojo takes a chunk there. I've got to say that was a little underwhelming. I thought that was going to do way more than it did.
It definitely was not the hype that you were trying to sell. And I mean, this is good to see from, Cyclone in.
Oh no. LWX in all kinds of trouble, and here comes Light to finish the job over the wall. One more auto. The bomb on Jojo, it's not even needed. Xiaolahu, the next target is TheShy. realizing that there's a fight going on, joins his team. He's like, oh, sorry, guys. I was, I was pushing waves. Baron could be an option, but then again, Care could be an option. It's not often you see the AD carry jumping at the Akali. I feel like at this point, Light, he's the opposite of Gala.
He really is. I got to point out, like, the way that Weibo just keeps dodging Care to get these fights up before he's able to join in is so beautiful. Because, like, 5-kill Akali, that really could be the thing to make a difference. Is TheShy is pretty bold. I think that's something we knew, so I'm not giving any new information. But this should be the thing that brings it back, pushes us 2-3 games. I won't say that FPX are down and out, but now with the 6K gold lead, Baron under their belts, this should be a game that Weibo take. And I'll just repeat it one last time, I promise. Weibo haven't been 2-0'd yet, so didn't think it would happen today. Is Munch, they're just so fast at pulling the trigger. And look, Care in the bot lane. Strongest member of FPX not here. No way for them to really respond as you just kind of funnel forward onto LWX, who isn't even getting to play the game.
And the thing is, like, we keep talking about this Tristana as, like, the assassin, but even just as a front-to-back crit AD carry, Tristana's still absolutely cracked. Like, you do mega damage. A lot of it is AoE damage as well. Like, you're certainly not going to struggle in a front-to-back team fight for the side of Light at very least. 9 stacks on a now built Medjai's for Xiaohu. Light now going towards some armor pen after finishing off the Hex Drinker. Like, it's all looking pretty hunky-dory for Weibo. But like you say, they're not been 2-0'd so far. This split wasn't something anyone was expecting to come in today. To be honest, I think most people coming in today were expecting them to be the ones 2-0ing. FPX have given them a run for their money and have been fighting hard in this second game as well. Does feel like Weibo are coming out on top second time around, and it does mean that we get to go to 3. Well, I'm counting my chickens there, but let's be honest.
Counting. Yeah, right. This one should be done and dusted. Weibo, surprisingly enough, not even playing out through a full 3-lane setup, still wanting to rely on just being able to jump out, burst through with the amount of vision control they have in topside jungle against FPX. I think it would be a little bit nice if they were playing out the 3 lanes with the fact that they do have both TPs up for their soul laners, though.
And something you mentioned before, if there's one thing this team does, it's take towers. Look at that shift damage, man. It's like a quarter of 3 different players' health and the entire minion wave. Like, that's not fair. It's just not fair. As mid in him does go down. Now up to the top side. Go Weibo, as they could just shred towers in seconds.
Yeah, now with weiwei kind of off to an angle, and him and TheShy threatening and putting pressure on them, which is going to allow mid-wave to come in even smoother. It's going to do what we just saw, right? Opens up the angle to where FPX have to back off, and now the base is just in pieces. We'll see how diligent Weibo will be, like if they want to start moving down to bot, or it doesn't look like it. They just want to try and find the opportunity to end.
Well, they did move down to the bot because they wanted to dive on the bottom side of the Nexus. Won't quite find their opportunity there as Care forced to flash away. Jojo! Oh, he finds the hook, but Light just buffers it and then flashes away from Xiaoalaohu. And I think that is the attempt over from the side of FPX. Care gets obliterated. It's a full-on demolition crew here for Weibo. And the targets are the towers. Here we go as they end the game. Light charging on forwards, knocks him back onto the Nexus. He's having none of it. The Nexus towers will fall. And Weibo, they're going to want some extra kills, aren't they? They're going to want to finish FPX off, but they're about to get low. That counter strike is huge from TheShy. They can't actually finish the players. Get the Nexus, guys. Yeah, change your targets here. It's Weibo 2 pushes to 3.
I am still convinced. If you want to win, you pick Tristana. We saw it in OMG against LGD. Sure, I guess it lost in our last series, but it was like Nip playing it against JDG. And here, once again, just able to do so much. The 1v1 potential. I'd love to see